Our lesson today is about rounding. We are rounding to the nearest 10 and the nearest hundreds place. Our I can statement is, I can round numbers to the nearest 10 or 100. To make sure you are ready for this lesson, please have your math journal out, a pencil, and a number line. On the bottom of some of the slides, you will be asked to pause the slide and complete the activity. You can use your number line to help you. Do you remember when we talked about place value? You know that three-digit numbers are formed by groups of hundreds, tens, and ones. So in the number 425, how many hundreds do we have? We have 4 hundreds. How many tens do we have? We have 2 tens. And how many ones do we have? We have 5 ones. When we round, we try and find a number that is close to another number. You may ask, why would we round a number instead of using the exact number of something? Sometimes we may want to find numbers that are easy to work with, or to check to see if an answer is close, or if you are trying to estimate a sum or a product. For example, the sign you see here is a population sign for the city of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It says the population is 596,974. To make that number a little more manageable, we may just want to round up and say that the population of Milwaukee is 600,000 people. That gives people an estimate without having to be so precise. Or perhaps you go to a baseball game and you have $12 to spend. Being able to round numbers to get an idea of a number that is close helps you do mental math in your head. For example, if you knew a hot dog cost $4.17, you may just round down to $4. Or if a pop cost $1.90, you may just want to round up to $2, and that will help you estimate how much you're going to need to buy what you want. Please pause this slide and write down 2 reasons why we might use rounding in our everyday lives. First, let's use a number line to help us see how to round. Let's look at the number 13. If we want to round the number 13 to the nearest 10, we look at our number line and see that the number 13 lies between the number 10 and the number 20. So the next question we have to ask ourselves is 13 closer to the number 10 or is it closer to the number 20? Here we can see that 13 is closer to the number 10 than it is to 20, so we are going to round down to the number 10. How about number 19? Is it closer to the number 10 or is it closer to the number 20? We can see on our line that 19 is closer to the number 20. That means we are going to want to round up to the number 20. We can also ask the question, what is the number that is halfway between 10 and 20? We can see that the number that is halfway between 10 and 20 is 15. So we are going to ask, is 19 more or less than halfway between 10 and 20? It is more than halfway, so we can round up to 20. Please pause the presentation at the next slide and write your answers to the problems in your notebook. Use your number line to help. What about rounding to the hundreds place? We are going to look at it the same way. Here we have the number 125. We can see that it falls between 100 and 200. So we are going to ask first, what is the number that is halfway between 100 and 200? We can see that it's 150. Then we ask, is 125 more than halfway or less than halfway between 100 and 200? It is less than halfway. So we are going to round down to 100. Let's look at what we do if the number is exactly in the middle. We will take the number 35. We want to round it to the nearest 10. We see that 35 is between 30 and 40. But is it closer to 30 or 40? Well, it is closer to neither. It is the same distance to 30 as it is to 40. We have a rule to follow when this happens. When the number is exactly in the middle of two tens, you round it up. 35 is rounded up to 40. Please pause the slide and make sure that this rule is written in your math notebook. We're going to now look at a different way of looking at rounding. We're going to try rounding by using place value. When we are rounding by using place value, we first have to decide what digit is in the place that we want to round to. So if we are rounding to the nearest 10, we need to find the digit that is in the tens place. In this case, it's 7. What we will do next is look to the digit to the right of the one we are rounding to. If the digit to the right is 5 or greater, add 1 to the digit in the tens place. If the digit to the right is less than 5, leave the digit in the tens place alone. Then change all the digits to the right of the tens place to 0. You can see the example here. We left the 7 alone, and then we changed all the digits to the right of that to 0. Let's use the same method to round to the nearest 100. Here we have our number is 878. What do we do first? First, we want to find the number in the hundreds place because we are rounding to the nearest 100. That number is 8. Next, we want to look to the digit to the right. We can see that 7 is greater than 5, so we are going to add 1 to the digit in the hundreds place. And then we will change all the digits to the right of that number to 0. Here in our example, you can see because 7 was greater than 5, we added 1 to the digit in our hundreds place, and all the numbers to the right of that became 0. Please pause the presentation at the next slide and write your answers to the problems in your notebook. Use your number line to help. The last thing I'm going to share with you is something to help you remember. It's a rounding rhyme, and the numbers you're looking at are for rounding to the tens, the nearest tens. So first we find your place, look next door, 5 or higher, add 1 more. 4 or lower, just ignore. All the numbers in front stay the same. All the numbers behind, 0 is your name.